Hello and welcome back to Madmousegames. Today we're going to be painting another miniature from the Reaper Bones 5 core set, the Bonehenge Priestess. But before we get into the video, I just wanted to let you guys know that I will be covering the Reaper Bones 6 Kickstarter when it drops in March. So if you're interested in seeing that and learning a little bit more about it, make sure you subscribe so you can see that video. Onwards!
So this is the Bonehenge Priestess. I started by priming the mini black. I've recently become a big fan of priming. I find it's easier to work colors up from black than from the naturally gray minis. Next, I began adding a green mixed with black as a dark base coat for the dress. I got a good coverage with a few thin coats and decided to make the snake wrapped around her staff the same kind of green as well. Then it was on to layering the dress. Using lighter and lighter shades of green, I gradually built up the color to get a smooth transition between the dark green and the light green highlights that I wanted. I continued to add more and more layers of lighter green, covering slightly less area than the green that I put down before to continue to get a nice transition. Finally, I did a slight glaze over a few areas that weren't as smooth of a transition as I would have liked them to be. And doing a glaze like this is a quick way to make the layers appear a little bit more smooth and like they mesh better together that way. As a final highlight, I mixed a little bit of yellow with the green and applied it to only a few spots that were higher up as a nice little highlight to try and make the dress stand out a little bit more than it was before. Now it's on to base coating the leather, the staff, and the bone sickle with a nice brown. I would also base the skin with this color, as I find that adding a lighter skin tone colors to black usually looks more splotchy than having a brown base coat that you then apply the lighter skin tones to. Next, I base coated the hair with a nice darker red color, as I wanted the priestess to have red hair that would stand out against the green dress. I then base coated this small shell looking thing in purple to make it different from the rest of the items on her belt, and I think it gave a real nice just touch of color to the model itself. After adding more color to the mini, I decided that the highlight on the dress was not enough for me. So again, I added a little bit more yellow to a green, and again added it to just some of the higher points to make it stand out even more. One thing you can see here is me brushing away some of the paint with my finger. I like to do that to make it a nice look. Then I added this light purple highlight to the shell and a final pink highlight around kind of where the shell looks like it's opening, and this just was a really nice little addition to the mini. I think it really made it look nice. Next was starting on the skin. I added an ivory color to the brown to make the first layer for the skin. I thought that the ivory made the priestess look more like a vampire than a person, so I added a light tan over the ivory to make her appear not undead. Next, I added a little bit of metallics using the brush that I use for only metallics. I find that metallic paints seem to be a lot harder on brushes, so I have one that I've set aside to be a metallic only. Finally, it was time to try making some eyes. I've never had good success making eyes, but I came with some ideas this time. First, I made the whole eye socket black like this, because one problem I've had is having the white eyes stand out against lighter skin tones. and really being able to see where I'm putting that white. So I figured I'd put a black undercoat so I could easily tell where the eyes would go, as well as hopefully make a thin black line around the white of the eyes to make them stand out even more, kind of like eyeliner. So after making her look like a demon here, I added the white of the eye back in, and this was a delicate process. Trying to hold the mini completely still while getting just a dab of white was rough. But afterwards, I went to do the black spot on the eye, and here you can see me adjusting the mini so that I could stabilize it more. I found that holding it in this position with the brush this way was much easier. So doing it that way was really nice. So I added just a little bit of black. Here on the first eye, it kind of looks more like a slit once I get it in there. And that was something that I would go back and fix later. So as I was doing this, it's very difficult to just get one little dab of black on there. And while I was making this pupil on the right side, you can see that I smeared it all over the cheek here. So I quickly rinsed my brush off, got some of the skin tones that were still on my palette, and covered up the black underneath the eye. And it actually covered over it really well and made that pupil appear larger. So at this point, the one on the left was kind of a slit, and the one on the right was more of what I wanted, which was a round dot to represent the iris and the pupil. And I then went over and enlarged the other pupil to make it match better, and finally had some good eyes. Then I went and added some eyebrows, highlighted the hair, and boom, I was done. So this is the finished model. I was super proud of the way the face, and more importantly, the eyes came out on it. All in all, it was a good looking mini, and I was proud of the work I did. So tell me in the comments about how you do eyes to hopefully give me some ideas for other ways to do those in the future. Also, subscribe if you're interested in joining me on my journey as I paint through the entire Bones 5 Kickstarter, and to see the Reaper Bones 6 video coming out soon. I'm also hoping to turn this channel into a community, so join me on Reddit at r/Madmousegames and share some of the things you paint with me. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.